God ceased to exist. The dreadful abomination that hoodwinked everyone into believing he and men were of the same image no longer taints this world.
CJ, can you turn your gain up a little bit?
Why? You ask me questions, Raziel? You? The very harborer of God's secrets? Then answer me first. Could you still have continued to revere the Lord after learning of its true form?
Its true form. A dreadful thing that didn't look like anything living, much less a human being.
You've seen him, Metatron? You've witnessed God's true form?
Yes, indeed I have. Though it was Gethel who first laid eyes upon it.
Gethel.
Having glimpsed God's true form and comprehending what kind of abomination our Lord truly was, she clung to me, and so I borrowed her eyes to see it for myself.
Gethel was the first one to see God?
Worthless, not even a living thing. I vowed to demolish the dreadful thing there and then. Can you believe a thing like that had the audacity to actually cause the flood that swallowed most of mankind? And then it succumbed to madness. It gave birth to the divine calamity, tearing asunder countless worlds of the multiverse and soiling heaven itself with blood.
Overpowered by Metatron's vehemence, no one could find the strength to utter a single word till now. But this last remark seemed to have triggered something in Raziel.
Metatron, just tell me one thing. Was it our father that caused the divine calamity after all?
Who else could have?
Raziel seemed to swallow her next words.
That's true, but...
This world lives on borrowed time, Raziel. You understand that much yourself, do you not? The multiverse is about to vanish without a trace.
No! It hasn't ended yet!
Yes, indeed. We ourselves have yet to perish. The future is the sole asylum for us to cheat the end.
But that's future one that has discarded our past, isn't it?
And what of it? Wraith of yore. The future of my making needs no past.
Metatron considered the four of us coldly for a few seconds.
Raziel, abandon your book. It too is now but a relic of the past.
You yourself gained your divine wisdom from its very pages, and now you're telling me to throw it away?
It's an article of the past.
Raziel hung her head, shaking it in resignation.
So, you couldn't bear it? The torment was too much for you?
He ascended to heaven as a mere mortal, despite being looked down on by all of his old inhabitants. He kept struggling to improve himself. He struggled to help God, to help mankind. He struggled and struggled, struggled and struggled, struggled and struggled, 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 struggled and struggled, struggled and struggled, struggled, struggled. The fruits of his labor disregarded by everyone. He continued to struggle. The result of his struggle? God went mad, destroying and ruining everything the man had worked for. He realized that he worshipped a dreadful thing that had never been truly alive, that he admired, venerated, and served a sham. Metatron.
Well, now that things have come to this, it no longer matters.
In any case, I believe it's clear we are at odds with you. Shall we begin our bout to the death, or do I need to wait longer?
Adam took a step forward. Metatron, his eyes fixed on the original man, made a scornful smile.
Putting aside the other three, I have no reason to quarrel with you.
What?
You are Adam, an Adam of the future that angels have devised. The old world does not suit you. Join our ranks.
Absurd.
There's nothing absurd about it. You were made by the surviving angels of this world. Raziel, Kmile, Raziel, and myself.
What?
Although I hid myself from prying eyes, I too resided in Pandora. Sometimes as an angel, sometimes as a demon, sometimes as a human.
And so what if you participated in my making?
Adam gritted his teeth in irritation.
Oh, and you deny the world of your father?
Shut your mouth! You said the other three a moment ago. You omitted Eve from those you wished to save. Unforgivable. You will pay for that. The moment you uttered those words, you became my foe. Father or brother, anyone that dares insult her is my enemy!
Adam already had Archangel Michael's sword ready in his hands. He lunged forward, not giving us time to stop him.
Stop, Adam!
The time for words is past.
Indeed, continuing this one-sided conversation is truly a waste of breath.
Adam swung his sword, aimed at Metatron's neck. Metatron didn't even try to dodge it. No sound followed. He just splattered, rendering flesh. From the clang, the sword having been parried.
Adam, did I not just tell you that it was us angels who designed you? Did you truly believe we would have Did you truly believe we would have you run free without installing a fail-safe device of sorts?
Adam's sword touched the surface of Metatron's neck, refusing to dig a millimeter into his skin.
You cannot hurt me.
Gritting his teeth, Adam put all his strength into pushing the sword forward.
Out of my way, failure!
No, Frank, you can narrate. I don't think it's that's enough talking.
Metatron flung Adam aside. Eve promptly hurried too and kneeled at his crumpled figure.
Serving Adam is the only thing Eve is good for. My future doesn't need her. And Raziel, you too, a slave of the past, unable to cast aside your book, have no place in my world.
Metatron snapped his fingers, and multiple thunderbolts struck down from the sky at the ground around Raziel, locking her inside a cage of lightning.
Be a good girl and keep still.
Messenger.
one remains now.
Metatron finally turned to me. Oddly, I didn't feel afraid. The situation was simple. Kill and prevail, or die and perish. How's Sorami doing?
The girl is the eve of the new world. Your name is outdated.
I'm asking how Sorami's doing. Metatron sighed and snapped his fingers. Next moment, a girl appeared by his side. Sorami! Sorami didn't react, despite her eyes being open. She had no expression on her face, as if hypnotized. Her pupils sparkled gold. Did she be Gethel's eyes? Metatron whispers something to the lifeless girl.
Kugutsu Sorami, the time has come to initiate your raison d'etre.
The girl, expression still a void, nodded.
Yes.
Open the gates to the future.
Sorami gave him a nod, glanced around a white space.
Oh, here it is.
She closed her eyes, proceeded to chant her prayer to the future, silently, serenely. Then she reached out and grasped something that no one else but her could apparently see, pulling it towards herself.
Hope had sprouted, yet so did despair. Evil reigned, yet so did good. They had called it heaven and hell. Incorporate countless contradictions. Incorporate countless elements. Incorporate countless possibilities. And erase them all, leaving only one intact. O time that hath to flow, O time that hath to halt, entrust thine essence to the gates, cast thine nature aside. Sacrifice the world for the segregated future.
Sorami initiated raison d'etre Metatron forced upon her. Vision that led to the future. Eyes that had the power to define the future through mere observation. Something from beyond time was on its way to our realm.
Jerusalem.
Countless strands of light, rending white space asunder, appeared out of thin air. The strands eventually melted into an arc, morphing into something akin to a white door. Sorami collapsed like a puppet, with its string cut. Sorami.
Messenger, I leave you in her hand. I leave her in your hands.
Your wish is my command.
Sorami suddenly vanished from my sight.
The matter is as you witnessed. I shall defeat you all and pass through these gates alongside the girl and others deemed worthy of the future to a place brimming with hope, severed from this worthless world.
The blood is ready to boil over by the time you end his speech. Calm down. Calm down, Tendo Setsuna. Focus on defeating the damn angel in front of you right now. I pulled a sword of 7 deadly sins from the pocket dimension. I lunged forward. Concentrating my magic to it, I initiated a summoning protocol. Reveal yourself, O avatar of gluttony. Shed pride and cast aside worldly wisdom as you quench your voracious appetite, drowning in pleasures unabound. Then out a deafening snort, the giant boar opened its vast jaws.
Useless!
Metatron swung his hand once, then the beast split apart. Party found the idea of dirtying himself with blood unappealing. He took a step back to avoid the rain of crimson that followed. Skipping over the carapace of the beast in a split second, I launched a dropkick at Metatron. It did connect, but Metatron managed to guard against it with his steel arm. No sooner I succeeded at upsetting him at least, the blood I flung from my feet as the launching kick splattered all over him. Metatron shuddered in anger at having himself besmirched with filthy blood.
You insolent!
Not listening, I swung my sword downward. Metatron answered by pulling his own sword out of the pocket dimension and clashing it against mine. That blade! The silver blade of incredible length, adorned with strange geometric symbols. Could it be?
Shiram. Oh gosh. Shirayam Ihime Kabanemaru. It was my present to the boy.
Like seeing us beat Oshiba Hagane, he flung Kabanemaru at me. Steel met steel, magic bursting out of point of contact alongside regular sparks. I imbued the muscle cells with Takumi Kazuchi, somehow pushed his future-defining blade away. I proceeded to push my blade diagonally down towards his shoulder, to which he promptly answered his own swing from below. The attack that defied both time and space reached me before I had time to finish mine. I thought I dodged it, but it seemed that it wasn't the case. Avoided a mortar wound by a hair's breadth. Good thing I wasn't too mindful about my spinal cord cracking as I twisted my body. I would have been dead by now. Now I managed to escape only my shoulder damage. Ordering my nano machine to fix the wound, imbuing the puncture with water magic. I proceeded to counterattack. I chose the 7 beasts, summoning them all at once. Full of fire! Beasts of gluttony, molten gold of sloth, the azure flame of wrath, the rotten chains of envy, the silver lion of pride, the mirror knight of lust. I called them all at once and charged straight into Metatron. I knew that would be enough, moving closer to beat the steel angel.
I exist for the future.
A stringent sound reverberated in my ears. I jumped back out of reflex, feeling an odd tingle in my right arm. I tried raising it up and realized it was gone. You cut it off? It seemed like that sound and tingle resulted from my arm being chopped off. I needed to spare in order to display shock of losing the limb. New accident like that were part of battle. As I looked back at Metatron, I spotted some sort of emerald string-like things surrounding him. Enlarged, decrypt. That thread seemed to have been made exclusively of 1s and 0s.
Electro Twine, a program capable of intervening and reprogramming the space of reality.
I glanced at my arm lying on the ground. Nothing grotesque like meat stuck out of its cross-section, though it had turned black, as if it coated with cold tar.
I cut off the status of your right arm. You won't be able to repair it easily.
Zine wasn't lying. I tried ordering my nanomachines to regenerate it, but my cells simply refused to listen. For better or worse, I didn't feel pain either. Still, I realized it had put me at a serious disadvantage, but the fangs of cold fear began digging into my heart. I didn't quite know how to proceed. Metatron had yet to activate his raison d'etre. As long as he didn't activate mine either. Understanding the properties of my foe was the core element of my counterattack spell. What was he living for? What did he expect to find in that future of his? To answer him, understand him enough so that I could find an answer to these questions. It was not like Oshiba Hagane. The bored slave rejected both the past and the present, but he still acknowledged the future, or whatever it was. The core element of his being was resignation, or in a way, hope. Metatron used to be known as the righteous Enoch, an angel of supreme power, the one closest to God, being called the lesser god by some. Think. What were the core aspects of his existence? What were the core deeds he performed? First defied God, then served and revered him, then slowed them down again, and in response, he trampled over him. I was trying to surpass his divine father, become a more absolute existence. He made a new world of his own design and even prepared an E for it, Sorami. Discarding both the past and present, he decided to save the future alone. The past had most have been soaked full from shed blood. The present could at times be as harsh as a winter scale. And the future, severed clean from the bitter past of the tough present, would be as bright as the sun itself. Without inheriting ill will from the past, Metatron would create a new, clean world. In other words, hoping to leave an odd little at part of my lips. Metatron, you're an angel and so lies and deceit are forbidden to you. Hence, I would like to ask you something.
What is it?
You don't really care about the order of your future world. I took a deep breath, ready my words like a blade. You just cannot stand the past, memories of being looked down upon, then being betrayed by the very object you worship. Your disappointment intermingled with rancor. You just grew to hate all and everything of the old world, did you not? I spotted a slight change in Metatron's countenance. What is it, Metatron? I can feel your killing instinct tickling my skin. Did my words hurt you that much? Eh? You wimp of an archangel?
I see you are a glutton for punishment, insolent wretch!
With almost palpable killing intent, Metatron lunged towards me.
Use this!
A ridiculously blunt heads-up reached me through the telepathic link. I vaulted into the sky, catching Adam's projectile in my left hand, letting the Piketty sword fall down to the ground. Archangel Strategos, flaming sword of Archangel Michael, so a weapon that could oppose Metatron's flames, so the weapon currently in his hands could do little against it. That sword belongs to Oshiba Hagane. It isn't for the likes of you to wield. Divine flames of Archangel's sword were potent enough to melt down a witch blade like Shirahime Kabanamaru. Blade Metatron's hand turned to a mere unshapely stick of molten steel, with only intact hilt still testifying it actually used to be a sword.
You should know, it originally belonged to me.
With that, he threw the molten sword aside. He had no right to brag. All he did was hand the blade to Oshiba Hagane, who was the one that mastered and made it truly his own. With a mocking smirk on his face, Metatron readied something akin to a wand.
Let me show you a true face of the future.
But my back turned to ice.
Harbinger of Ash.
A beam of blinding light shot up at both ends of the wand, turning into something akin to a double-bladed sword. Black threads of indescribable material appeared out of thin air and coiled around his blade. I could tell it was the very weapon that launched an inferno that annihilated God. And it poured at me was enough to fill me with a sensation of impending doom, a feeling that my very soul could possibly turn to dust the next second. Still, I had to determine the nature of this weapon, colored black and white, could launch all obliterating colors of flame, a weapon of divine destruction from the future. The flames that assaulted us back then were more powerful than any inferno. Still, I had already countered them once. I'd do so again. For flames, no matter how potent, were still fire, combustion. As long as they obeyed the laws of science, I could find countless ways to neutralize them. The only worry is that they might have combined a sort of alternate spiritual effect that, when unleashed, would unveil some non-scientific power. Over the course of history, fire was used to symbolize divinity in countless scriptures. For example, after Adam and Eve were banished from Eden, God assigned cherubs of his legion to keep humans away from the border between the realms. They were all outfitted with swords of fire. Among his lieutenants, the name of Uriel translated to Flame of God. Meanwhile, Anafiel utilized 60 fiery rods to punish Metatron for his transgressions, same ones that have been running away from on the 6th stratum. Archangel Saldaphon, been so powerful, flames raging within him, burst out of his body, burning another seraph. Hadjaniel, finally Metatron, among titles such as the Chancellor of Heaven or the Lesser God, now it's been called the Pillar of Fire. Apparently it came from the idea that the fire pillar that guided Moses was Metatron himself. Embodiments of guidance, a pillar of fire. What kind of divine essence could have been hidden in his name? I was about to end the biggest mad gamble of my life. 1. Take Metatron's attack head-on, survive somehow. 2. Ascertain its nature. 3. Counterattack. I could do it. I could do it. I had no choice, so I had to do it. I grit my teeth. I steeled my heart to take the hit without trying to run, also refusing to give in to the sweet call of abandoning sensible thought. As long as life coursed in my veins, I'll continue to think, looking for an opening in this offensive.
Do you have any last words?
I'll tell you later. Metatron gave me a confident smile. See that absolute faith in his weapon.
Harbinger of Ash, mode rejection. The earth has been made for mankind to crawl upon. This is no place for you, mortal.
The black and white of his blade mingled to form a spiral and spun at me like a giant snake.
Don't, you fool!
You don't need to tell me! Exceeding the speed of Anaphael's whip, the monochromal light pursued me like a guided missile. Kicked off the ground and flew through the sky, moving left and right, up and down. Whenever I glanced back, I see the light following me. Power of untold magnitude pursued me, hell-bent eradicating me, body and soul.
Setsuna!
I bent my body at a painful angle to avoid the light. I promptly turned around and shot at me again. I couldn't dodge this one. I glanced down and readied Michael's sword to meet the light head-on. I'm going to do this! In the end, I didn't learn much. Technique rejection, launching a light of lethal intensity that pursued its target relentlessly. Definitely had a spiritual factor to it. I still couldn't tell what it was. Couldn't read his hand. Mine, on the other hand, had barely any cards left. Still, I had to do this. I had no choice but to meet him head-on. It was the magic of the sword. We could explode in azure flames. The sword could ostracize Tegos, Michael. At this point, the chemistry mattered little. It made no difference whether I met a flame that's potent with water or not a flame. Being closing on me embodied the full might of the archangel closest to God. The flames at my side embodied the full might of the archangel that led God's legions. So I added my own power to the mix. I crashed my sword into the light with a howl. Flame clashed with flame and... Huh?
The role of cherubs ordained with the defense of Eden's eastern border was but one: to repel mankind, to make certain Adam and Eve were barred eternally from paradise.
Metatron let out a scornful snort.
This technique is grounded in that legend. Mankind shall dwell on earth and nowhere else. We alone shall bask in Eden's divine light.
Finally comprehended the vileness of his flame. Targeting only humans, pursuing them to the ends of the earth, rejecting, consuming them as a weapon designed to hunt mankind. So it had no effect on anything else. No matter how strong Michael's sword was, Metatron's flames would slip past it as if it was never the target, crashing into me alone. The flames were but a fraud. Still, few things could have been more effective in this situation. I met them head on, just like Don Quixote did the windmill. Felt death breathing down on my neck. Was the end? Resignation overcame me. To all this, but I had finally seen through his nature. Unable to withstand the fiery embrace, I turned to ash in a few seconds. God damn it. God fucking damn it!
How much of a witless fool are you? If you have time to howl, use it to protect your life!
A knowing remark found me mere moments before the flames could consume me. Suddenly I was flung aside. Adam crashed into the flames in my stead, and as he used to protect his face turned the color of coal, yet the onslaught of fire refused to cease. Adam tried to stop the onslaught by releasing the entirety of magic he held within his body. That proved to be hardly more significant than a pound of butter in front of a kennel of dogs. Adam!
What are you doing, Tendo Setsuna?
What did I ask you to say?
Shut up and go already!
I made a quick nod and dashed forward.
I would knew it would come to this sooner or later. Aren't you a nice sacrificial lamb, extinguishing your own life to extend that of another? Only for a few fleeting seconds. I imagine you thought of sacrificing yourself to God in any case. Such is your raison d'etre, after all. Aren't you glad I was here to put you out of your misery?
Enduring unimaginable pain, Adam spat blood in response.
Shut up!
Oh, you're not satisfied?
That is not what I lived for. I shall never become a sacrifice.
What sophistry is this? You were made, then exploited, and now will meet your futile end. What are you, if not a sacrificial lamb?
Adam fell silent, his arms had already turned to ash.
This ends now.
Indeed. Metatron directed his gaze up to the sky. Oh, Frank, go ahead.
Metatron directed his gaze up to the sky and saw Tendu Setsuna floating serenely up there. The magic flowing through his veins turned to ice for a split second, for the eyes of the boy looked like those of the angels that used to look down upon him. Uncontrollable fury took hold of Metatron.
What are you doing there? Come down this very instant!
What surprised the angel the most was that the boy seemed to have escaped the jurisdiction of Electro Twine. Both of his arms were back in their place, fully regenerated.
Are you this bothered by others looking down on you?
For the first time in a long while, a tinge of fear ran through Metatron's spine. It was as if the boy peeked at his heart, prying things out that should have been left untouched. The time
was nigh for my Raziel to reveal itself once more. The world turns to the cogs of an intricate mechanism. In my words, the kingdom of unmitigated chaos, the land of rubbish and scrap descended upon the realm. Metatron's true nature, the pride of having attained power exceeding that of Michael, despite having been born immortal. At the same time, feeling inadequacy for being different, isolated from other divine servants of the Lord. Two conflicting emotions doubtless torture him to no end. But that was never his true nature. He stood directly at God's side, felt himself closest to the Lord, and hence he had but a singular dream, to merge himself and God into one. The lesser God, he who is closest to God, who was called so, he acted so. At times he went overboard, and sentenced to many a lash and a whip. Yet nonetheless, he had never given up on becoming God. That was why he schemed to lord over the future. Despite all of that, his technique made little sense. He wanted to become God, absolute. His power should be of that of crushing all and everything that opposed him indiscriminately. The flames to launch at me was that of rejection, scorching only one chosen target. In other words, Metatron rejected everyone other than himself. Still, he had to become God, rule all over all that he despised. God can only be God as long as there were others to define him as such. To be light gave birth not only to the world, but also God himself, wishing for lordship out of pride, rejecting others out of feeling of inadequacy. That was his true nature. The world he wished to create was that of perpetual supervision and control, where not even a single leaf or a tree or blade grass had freedom. Inside him simmered but a shell of a paradise, a true dystopia. Hence, the only thing that could oppose him was the power of utopia. Everything in the world had a right to freedom, and they also had to obey their respective roles at the same time. Obeying them, we learn about each other, sharing our pain and resolve. The weapon I created shall embody that essence. There is no God. We shall not revere him. We shall not pray to him. We shall not believe in him. We shall not crave his blessing. Freedom is the sole desire. The intricate chains of the Lord's design shall be unraveled, torn to shreds before the fangs of our blades. Universal machine, the guardian spirit of time, grant me a blade that carries blessing and curse alike. I shall use my raison d'etre to unbind the shackles of mankind, create an unyielding force to match the weapon he created for himself in the world of the future. Smith, two volcanoes to the kingdom, jumped to the anvils, fashioning a weapon to fulfill my requests. The sister blade, Dios Sascuri. Twin swords sharing a single handle in the shape of a pair of giant scissors. One blade shone in vibrant vermilion, the color of immortality. Another calm azure, the color of death. Both blessed and cursed, boasting the name of twins from the myths of ancient Greece. The nature of the twin sword has but one, liberation from constraints. Try rejecting me now, Metatron!
Hold your tongue.
Metatron's attention switched to me, then in between Adam and him, with the so-called mightiest of my angels head-on. The harbinger of Ash, Dioscuri, clashed.
What?
They proved equal. A double-bladed sword of rejection, and subjugation creaked against a scissor sword of unbinding shackles and attaining freedom. With its nature's equal in strength, the fight came down to the raw skills of their wielders. Metatron flung his sword both towards my head and my chin. The blades of the scissor blade turned, extended, blocking both attacks at the same time. Give up. The future trying to create is dystopia forged of dread. In a world of absolute order and supervision, there's no place for mankind.
What's wrong with my design? Behold mankind's folly. A sword of Damocles poised to split the world. The world of my making would never end like this. The world I supervise would allow for no such flaws. It would be perfection itself.
That's the word you want? Then create it. And keep it to yourself! I howled and swung and kicked. None of us could acknowledge the other. None of us could stand down. We wish to control us. We wish to be free. There's no room for compromise. I snapped the jaws of Dioscuri, a mere moment before he could bite through Metatron's neck and jerk his head back. Regular techniques of swordsmanship were no use when wielding giant scissors. Such as was that the peculiar blade controlled my actions, rather than the other way around. I spun my body as if in the middle of a dance, following the strength of the centrifugal force to swing my blade at Metatron like a crazy merry-go-round. 13, 14 splash. I briefly seized my assault, spin a Metatron as the incarnation of whirlwind. Without a second's rest, without no time to take a breath, kept hacking and slashing my bow. I didn't even bear my onslaught. Metatron finally took a step back.
Low rejection.
Pointing his blade at me. From his tip, a flurry of flames that rejected all mankind burst forth. Sever the knots! Gordius! Rejection rejected. Flames split into two. Its original rose severed, dissipated to the nether. Metatron looked at me in astonishment, with absolute confidence in his flames. His pride refused to believe a mere mortal could sever it with ease.
Why?
The steel angel grits his teeth. He was but a mortal, a relic of the past. He couldn't comprehend how one such as I could possibly hold his ground against his might. That's but the nature and intrinsic will of my weapon. It's like rejection and subjugation on those of yours. Tokyo Babel was a place where one's will and beliefs were all that mattered. That which you lived for. That which you kept you pushing forward. The will to keep living. Even angels or demons all live for a reason. Be for the good of themselves, others, or something else entirely. My raison d'etre was to triumph over impossible odds. The grand angels of mighty demons, we humans probably look like nothing more than ants scuttling along the dirt, flung around by fate. Still, knowing their soul I wish to be flung around. Anyone wished to choose their paths for themselves, rather than having them forced upon them by someone else. To turn the tide in the face of overwhelming odds, to triumph over the tyrannies of life was the reason I, Tendo Setsuna, was born. Almighty Metatron, I shall embrace the largest tyranny of them all to crush your dreams, hopes, and your very reason for being. Metatron gave me a vicious glare.
Stop mocking me, infidel! Shut your mouth, shut it! I know your past. You're just a piece of rubbish that failed to become God. The sinner that led 10 billion to their graves with a single word.
The words ignited a spark of regret in my chest for a split second. Days long past from nightmarish life. Indeed, his word did not lie, for I was in truth a sinner of unparalleled crimes. Still, nonetheless, no, because of that, I had a duty to prevent this angel from taking over the seat of that world as its ruler.
I shall not fall to you! It's absurd! A true god cannot possibly succumb to the power of a mere limitation!
You're wrong, Metatron. You're no more authentic than myself. We're both apocryphal imitations, though the one true God should always reject you.
Such insolence!
The swords clashed. The monochromal light of his blade coiled around the vermilion azure of mine. Speed, strength, and technique mattered little at this point. Or rather, there was nothing but a superfluous distraction. It was our beliefs and allegations. Art raised on the trust that waged war. Pride and inadequacy. Contradictory natures and ability to stand being surpassed by mortals, yet having its very roots in their flock, coupled with being locked down by other angels as Boreal. Rejection and subjugation. So he rejected humans, angels, and demons alike. It took away the free will of mankind in this new world, where it was irrefutably the very seed of destruction that brought an end to this. So, sweeping the countless contradictions under the rug, Metatron set out to become God, only to validate his core belief. Reminded me of myself. I tried to become a god once as well. I was designed to become one. Everyone tried to push me onto a divine throne while sweeping countless contradictions under the rug, desperately struggling to turn a blind eye to reality. I ended up destroying it all. I never wished to become a god. But the concept of lore was always a painfully plain and simple program. No personality, no real power to interfere with reality. God never truly did anything of his own volition, merely answered prayers.
Thing, that abomination, is not worthy to be called God.
Metatron swung his harbinger of ash down with a cry, caught it in between my scissor blades, the most irregular of sword clashes. I cried. Such is the true nature of God! He has to be like that! Metatron couldn't find a words to retort. His faith in the Lord has already been shattered by divine calamity. Now his dream had taken his old Lord's place. His very raison d'etre is on the verge of collapse. The days he spent on earth as the righteous Enoch, millenniums he spent as the mightiest of angels, Metatron, all of his deeds and accomplishments, on the verge of returning to dust. Metatron leapt back, his breathing uneven and trembling, brain unadorned with countless bloody wounds. He no longer looked like anything like the once grateful and dignified master of angels. I looked no better myself. Metatron's flames had already scorched most of my flesh to cold. The wounds were so severe I had long lost the ability to sense pain. Realizing the next strike would most likely be the last, we put more distance between each other.
I refuse.
Metatron suddenly opened his mouth.
No, never. I refuse. I refuse to entertain such ludicrous words. Every pore of my body screams to reject your drivel.
Trembling all over, Metatron continued to howl. Careful not to let him out of my sight, I took a quick glance at my surroundings. Even Neo and Adam's side, probably trying to fix him up. Raziel still stood motionless in a prison of lightning. Most importantly, took a deep breath, slowly let it out. I think Metatron's display pathetic in this slightest. Doubtless I would lose my cool like him if someone tried denying my own raison d'etre. Still, I had to deny the mighty angel.
I reject you. I reject your very existence. For if I didn't, I would cease being myself.
Everything about Metatron changed as he pointed his harbinger of ash at me. The most palpable dignity burst out of his posture. The glory of the one closest to God returning to his countenance. He was, after all, the only being, even among angels, whose influence once ever reached up to the Lord. In the end, there's the one true form of Metatron. My ready scissor blade feels scurry. This blade still has something veiled within. I, its maker, would know. Still, I was unsure if myself had the strength to unleash the sword's hidden potential. What did I want to say? The goods to Sorami? Everyone? Of course, but that was not all. Was it the one I wished to save the most? That mirror image of myself that chose to walk a mistaken path? That was likely it. The scissor blade was a tool to sever shackles, allow one to soar in the skies and dance in the air. The essence of palpable freedom, molded into a weapon. It's not a tool to inflict pain.
Harbinger of ash. Seal lifted.
pillar of fire covered the skies, a blade of absurd length, with a single goal, to strike down Tendu Setsuna. Descended, ready to disintegrate his foe. No tricks or schemes, no techniques, only genuine intent to thoroughly obliterate. My Dioscuri shouldn't sever your shackles. Clutching the twin handles tight in my hands, exhale a breath, allow my gaze with his, nodding to myself. Don't prepare yourself! So we both lunge forward, ready to embrace death. The flames rage in the sky like a phoenix. I couldn't breathe. If I had tried, my throat would have likely burned from the inside. But Dioscuri, the very essence which was severing everything, seemed to switch a never-ending tsunami of flames. Why the blade would hold out, realized I myself likely wouldn't. But the giant boulder was trying to crush the life out of me. The terror of the surrounding flames was consuming me from within. I endured. I tried to hold my ground, beginning to breathe, push forward, step by step. And at once, forgotten came alive again. The made my skin simmered, turning to ash. Flames invaded inside my body. My blood began to boil and evaporate. My veins screamed in pain. Still, I pushed forward, and forward until I found myself in the very bosom of my target. Eat this! I stumbled upon an Ostrich sword lying on the ground. I launched at my foe with a wide kick. Divine sword of Archangel Michael flew towards Metatron, splitting his flames apart. Metatron somehow shifted his own sword, but now was too huge and potent to be held properly, much less control to knock Arcus' triangles off the trajectory. To me, opening to see my first step. Dart through the newly opened gap between the flames, aiming the jaws of my scissor blade at Metatron's neck.
Here!
The harbinger of ash in Metatron's hand was a double-bladed sword, and so, while the front blade currently raged in chaotic flames, the back one, still retaining its normal shape, jumped back into the jaws of my scissors. Not giving me a second to react, I held straight, splitting the hilt of my blades apart. With that conjoining part severed, the hilts of course came apart as well. Now to see my second step. Revive! The scissor blade Dioscuri symbolized two things in the mythology of Greece, one divine, another earthly. The immortality of gods, the blade of Mammalian, the mortality of men, the blade of Azur. Hence it was in death that the Azur blade would unveil its true power. The blade of Mammalian was also immortal to begin with, and revived and destroyed.
What?
As the Azur blade burst apart, its pieces assaulted Metatron like grenade shrapnel. Meanwhile, the Mammalian blade returned my hands as good as new in a split second. The onslaught of Azur shards took the entirety of Metatron's attention. The final step. The immortal blade sank deep into Metatron's chest, piercing the very source of his spiritual power, his heart.
What?
Metatron, his eyes wide open, stared at the sword sticking out of his chest. The inferno surrounding us suddenly vanished, almost as if it had never been there. With the link to their catalyst, Metatron's magic, severed, flames no longer pose a threat to me.
I see.
Metatron recovered from initial surprise, with a long, peaceful breath of resignation.
I've been defeated.
And collapsed, his dual-bladed sword tumbling down the white surface. Victory is mine. For the survivor to find the line between victory and defeat in our battle, acknowledging reality ushered in Metatron's defeat. He realized he couldn't become God, that the vision of his world was mistaken.
I myself was mortal once, unable to forgive the depravity. It was the great flood. I condemned God himself.
Metatron proceeded to tell the story of his life, with eyes staring into the distance.
In the end, the Lord elected me as his confidant. Some looked down on me, Some grew jealous of my fate, but I never truly cared. I had my hands full being an angel.
He struggled and struggled and struggled. He banished evil, he fought injustice, wishing only happiness and peace upon the world.
For I realized I became that which was closest to God.
Now, Frank, you narrate again.
Among the men that ascended to heaven, some mistook him for another god. For that, he had been punished with a fiery whip. Yet naught but satisfaction dwelled in his heart as he bore the agony of the flames. The one closest to the Lord, the one closest to the ruler of the entire universe. Even the angels that used to look down upon Metatron were eventually forced to bow their heads and worship him.
Yet God and I were still worlds apart. I could not lay my eyes upon him.
Whenever doubt sprouted in his heart, it would be promptly dispelled by a whisper directly from the Lord, and so he prided himself on being one of his servants. One day, God left the future in his hands, past, present, and future. In heaven, where the border between these concepts was vague, only God himself had the right to tinker with the future. After Metatron received his divine decree, he proceeded to nurture the new world. Yet, it all fell apart with the advent of the divine calamity. God banished angels from heaven, while hell succumbed to a massive flood. And so Metatron promptly severed the ties between the present and the future. With that, all of the current worlds lost the power to advance forward. And so they withered away. Some managed to hold out for a while longer, but they too were eventually destroyed by God's madness instead. Still, Metatron considered this a temporary measure. He planned to eventually cure God and resurrect the withered worlds back to their prime. But then he met Gethel.
Gethel?
Ma, step in for Gethel. Ma? She away. CJ stepping for Gethel.
Help me! Metatron! Help! Help, I'm begging you! Please! I don't want to see it anymore!
Gethel raved, trembling like a leaf. He calmed her down and inquired as to the reason for her outburst.
I saw him! I saw the true form of our father with my very own eyes!
Metatron's heart filled with joy akin to terror. She laid eyes upon the Lord's true form, a visage no soul till then had ever witnessed.
What did our Lord look like?
Have a look yourself. Go ahead. Take a glance at the dreadful thing I saw.
The smile of a madman ravished her lips. He covered Metatron's eyes with her palms. The next moment, he saw the world from her eyes instead. All of the sights she ever witnessed were engraved in his mind. And so he saw for himself.
What's this?
Was that thing God? Was their lord a machine? Impossible. He couldn't believe it. Metatron fell into despair. If at least his divine father looked human, no matter how wretched or vile, Metatron would have still been able to make peace with that fact. He might have been disappointed if his lord had looked like a beast, yet he still would have accepted it. But God wasn't a living thing. Instead, it was an abstract, indescribable object. A wintry chill took hold of his heart as he came to a resolution. He decided to cut off God from this world. That thing had no place in their realm. The Lord worked for a time as long as eternity. It was enough. The time was nigh for he himself to come to an end. And so, the world no longer needed the past of serving under a thing. It only needed the future. If tomorrow existed, crap.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine, I speak slow. If tomorrow existed, there was no need for today. He decided to control the future world so that another divine calamity could never occur. He decided to design a world free of sorrow, but then he realized that the current world was in the way of his new one. And so he had no choice. He had to find a way to do away with it. Even if he turned evil in the eyes of the present, he still had his own world to protect in the future. A world that was too beautiful to be soiled by the tainted hands of others. A juvenile emotion, like that of fighting with your peers for a toy. Nonetheless, whenever he'd look at his empty world of the future, joy would sprout in his heart. And so, to protect the beloved world of his design, he had to tear apart the world of the past. Such was his resolve, but if there was one thing he forgot, it was that there were still humans, angels, and demons living in the past. That they'd challenge Metatron to retrieve their own right to the future. And that Tendu Setsuna, a boy with a fate stranger than the strangest of fantasies, turned into an inhuman monster that could easily slay angels and demons alike. A tiny oversight, no more.
I only yearned for a world free of sorrow. I only yearned for a world where none but smiles colored the faces of men. Was it wrong for me to make such a wish?
It wasn't.
Metatron shot an astonished glance at Tendu Setsuna.
What?
He had been certain the boy would deny him again.
I answered. You weren't wrong. You did a lot to protect your world, your future, didn't you? If your means to achieve were mistaken, your ideal self was worthy of admiration. He gave his all to the world. He did his best. That was the commendable and irrefutable truth.
I did my best.
I know.
Yet I was defeated. I no longer care about myself, but the future worries me still.
The future. We should make our own future. Metatron twists his face in mock ridicule.
You, a wraith from yore. Not to mention you won't lack.
I didn't need to wait for him to finish. He can at least serve as a pebble in the future's foundation. Once I'm gone, others will come to build upon it. The smile vanished from his face. Just like you cannot repeat the past, you cannot remake the future, either. The future was an amalgam of a plethora of coincidences occurring in the past. Mankind both worshiped and dreaded the future, precisely because it was unknown. It's that fear that led them to unite, praying for a blissful future, hoping they had enough strength to fight back future perils. Defining the future would inherently bereave it of its major function, leave people locked in perpetual present, unable to move forward. A satisfied smile crept onto Metatron's face.
I see. That is correct indeed. That was precisely what my world was missing.
Metatron reached out with his right hand, trembling as if trying to grasp the future.
I finally comprehended. I finally attained it. Yet my end is nigh. It was all for naught.
Display of almost palpable regret no one else could comprehend, on to follow him to the grave. It was neither punishment nor penance for his sins. He lost to the present, so he had to perish.
I don't want to perish.
Forcing the last few words out, Metatron closed his eyes. Accepting death, his body fell apart, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Watch as his body turned to dust, was eventually picked up and scattered by the wind. He took a deep breath. Turning back was met by the sight of Eve kneeling at Adam's side. His arms seemed to have finally returned to normal. Raziel, apparently having escaped her cage of lightning, stood behind her. Everyone sullenly stared at the spot where Metatron drew his last breath.
Is it over?
No, not yet. There's still one thing left for us to do. Maybe two. I glanced around myself. But you showed yourself already, messenger.
I know. You need not tell me.
Messenger suddenly appeared in front of her eyes, almost as if she had been standing in that place, invisible the entire time. She looked fainter than before with the white of her kimono and her hair blending with the pallid scenery of the empty world. It's over. Metatron dead, there's no one left with enough power to destroy the world. Even God is dead. All has come to an end. She suddenly shook her head.
No, nothing has ended yet.
Are still planning to oppose us? She suddenly shook her head again.
I wouldn't stand a chance. Your raison d'etre triumphs over tyranny, eradicating the very concept of defeat. Not to mention, Adam and Raziel are also by your side. I can't possibly fend all three of you off with my meager powers.
Then hand over Sorami, right this instant. Messenger gave me a cheerful smile.
Do you worry about her?
Of course.
Do you love her?
I do.
Even if she turned out to be Eve?
Messenger stole a glance at Adam.
With him as her Adam? Even if fate forbade you two from coming together?
I don't care. I just take her back from him by force. Answered without hesitation. Could hear Raziel whisper a quick howl blow behind me, chuckling.
I see. I am glad to hear that. I myself thought Adam would fit her better, but you're almost just as fine.
Messenger chuckled again, raised her hands in mock resignation.
Please allow me a moment. I shall promptly deliver Sorami to you.
With that, I took the shape of thunder shot somewhere beyond her sight. All would come to an end once I get Sorami back. So I hoped, at least. With Metatron God dead, the severed future should return back to her withered present, revitalizing it. Still, I couldn't shake off a bad feeling gnawing at my heart. We might have fixed the world in a way, but we failed to grasped the full reason behind his fall, so history will likely repeat itself in time. That creeping anxiety prevented my mind from being fully at ease. Sorry.
Setsuna?
Her voice woke me up from slumber. I glanced around myself. There she was. Sorami, with Messenger at her side, was considering us with a timid look. Her countenance reflected none of his former energy. For some reason, she didn't seem too happy to see us. Sorami, come over here. My words caused Sorami to tear up. She nonetheless ran straight towards me with a smile on her face. You can almost feel like she was crying out of relief, rather than sorrow.
Setsuna!
She was closing in on me with frantic steps. From bare weight, proceeded onwards as well.
Setsuna!
She tripped. Instantly accelerating, I darted forward and caught her before she hit the ground.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
It's really you, isn't it?
One and only. Tendo Setsuna.
You still remember me, right?
What about you? You sure you still remember me?
Of course, Tendo Setsuna. A boy with beautiful eyes who's a bit weird, but really cool and fun to be with.
Can't say I wholeheartedly agree with the cool part either, but I like to at least protest the idea of me being weird.
So it's that part that bothers you, huh?
Sorami raised her face with a chuckle. The initial shiver ran down her body. She finally let her head rest against my chest.
I'm so scared. I thought we'd never meet again. This isn't a dream or something, right?
I hurt when I tried pinching myself and instantly hurt when I got hit in the midst of battle. I'm pretty sure we aren't in a dream.
You remember us kissing?
Yes, on the roof. To tell you the truth, I wasn't actually drunk back then.
I knew that much myself.
Sorami, tears welling in her eyes again. I let out a few muscle sobs.
Can I cry a little?
I considered my answer for a few seconds. Well, I guess there's not much to be done about that, given the present situation, but if possible, I'd rather not see you cry again.
But sorry, I can't help it anymore. I mean, I'm just so happy I can't. I missed you so much. I wanted to see you so much.
I feel the warmth of her tears through the dampening fabric of my shirt, stroke her hair, whispering into her ear that it would be all right.
So many things have happened. So many terrible things happened. They made me think I was nothing, that I was hollow.
You aren't Harlow.
My memories of you were the only things I had left. The only things that kept me going. So
So she cried. She cried ceaselessly without any hint of stopping. Just continued to stroke her hair in silence. It was the only thing I could do to assuage her fears. Eventually her shoulders stopped trembling. Sobs ceased. I raised her face to my chest, as if having returned from a dive underwater, took a starved breath.
So, is it like, really over?
He glanced at Messenger. Raziel, what do you think we should do with her? Raziel hesitated. It seemed she herself wasn't sure the course of action we should take.
Well, for starters, maybe we should try tying her up.
As you heard, You going to allow us to do it without a fight? Messenger slowly shook her head. Apparently she decided to fight in the end. As I readied my sword, she suddenly raised her hands up into the air.
I give up. I might have been able to do something about you if I were lucky enough. But now with Lilith here, I suppose it's truly the end for me.
Lilith? Turn to see Lilith closing in on us in our usual easterly gate.
Hey there! I'm glad everyone's doing swell.
Lilith glanced at Adam and Eve, ignoring them, and then smiled at Sorami and me.
Huh? Shouldn't you have forgotten all about us or something?
And I sure had. But it seems all of my memories returned once Metatron kicked the bucket. You truly outdid yourself today, Setsuna.
I haven't done much.
Oh, but you did. I can hardly believe you actually shot down the guy that had been closest to God and all. Anyway, there is one thing I'm a bit curious about.
The smile vanished. She considered us with serious eyes.
What are you two planning to do from now on? I understand Sorami will be returning to the future, but what about you, Setsuna?
Huh? Can't I stay here?
No, you can't. Literally, I mean. With Metatron dead, the past, present, and future are starting to reconnect, you know. You belong to the future, so if you try staying here for much longer, the other world will likely start pulling on you sooner or later. Then things might get messy.
What do you mean messy?
You're being torn to pieces or something.
Jesus!
Yup. So now that we all understand you can't possibly stay here, let's think about what Setsuna is going to do.
That's a stupid question. Isn't it?
Turned back to see a beaming Sorami as she hugged my arm. Behind that smile, though, she seemed to be shaking all over, probably from fear.
We made a promise to each other, didn't we? That we'll be together and all?
Indeed, we did. I promised to find her raison d'etre for her. Couldn't go against my word and let a girl who still didn't know what she was living for to wander the world all alone. Yeah, you're right. I smiled, loud an affectionate laugh. It's all right. As long as she had a smile on her lips, it was all right.
Oh, you made a promise like that? Well, then I suppose you have no choice but to go to the future with her, no matter what kind of fate awaits you two there.
And the sadness in her words pierced my heart like a knife.
Something wrong?
It's nothing. Let's go to your world, Sorami. To your future. Avoid accidentally separating from Sorami, uneasiness still lingering on her face, squeezed tight on her hand. I shall commit my life to you. All of myself shall exist solely for you. Not a single glance backwards, leaving both the present and the past behind. Press forward to the future. Together. Though as the doors were just about to close, I alone stole a quick look behind, glistening Lilith, seeing us off with sorrow in her eyes. Everything grew dark as two worlds separated. Sorami tugged at my sleeve.
I think it's this way.
Saw a light in the direction she indicated. Letting her take the lead was probably a good idea in a place like this. Let go of the past. Let go of the present. The unknown world awaited for us beyond this point. But there were two things I knew. One, that I had to be at her side forever, wherever we end up at. Second, the future we're heading to had no real hope. Dependency. To sum it up, the girl grew over-dependent on Frank.
Sum it up, the girl grew over-dependent on the boy. She ended up choosing to exist solely for his sake. She would do everything for him. The boy, unfortunately, didn't want much, and so their days would pass by with her pleading for him to ask things of her, and him refusing. She wanted him to share everything with her. She wanted him to ask everything of her. To grant his wishes and give him everything of herself was her raison d'etre. And as she declared so with an innocent smile on her face, the two fell into a quagmire of indolence.
Hey, what do you want me to do for you next?
She rubbed her face against his neck. Almost like a dog, she snickered to herself.
Maybe being his dog wouldn't be that bad. I'll do anything. I mean it. I'll do everything you'd ask of me. Anything.
The boy gave her a melancholic smile and stroked her hair. Then he slowly shook his head. She nibbled at the boy's neck.
Didn't you promise me that you'd find a way for me to live? Well, I finally found it. I finally understood. To be together with you forever. To never leave your side. And relish everything you present me with.
She knew full well he didn't have long. She knew she was being selfish. But what of it?
So please, I just want one thing. Don't die. Please, don't die. I'll do anything, so just...
Her eyes teared up. The boy's face contorted in sorrow.
I can't live without you.
The girl lived for the boy, and for the boy alone. The memories of the time they shared only strengthened her feelings. She was in the wrong. She understood that herself well enough. She didn't care, or rather, she could do nothing about it.
I can't live without you.
Not a figure of speech, but a cold fact. She was so dependent on the boy, her very life hung on his precarious survival. It wasn't a question of suicide. Her heart would die the instant the boy disappeared from her world.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for talking weird, but No. Please don't die. I don't want you to die. Please, please, I beg you.
His body trembled once as he tried to calm down the sniffing girl, but before he could embrace her, his joints fell apart, rendering him immobile. His hand that had been stroking the girl's hair up till now slid down her body and collapsed onto the bed. Realizing that something was wrong, the girl raised her face.
What happened?
She couldn't help asking despite knowing the answer. The boy made an apologetic smile and, silently cursing himself for leading her to this end, left this world. She understood full well what had happened, but she still chose to hang on to a false hope instead.
Wake up. Please, wake up. I'll do anything. I'll do anything you want if you just wake up.
No matter how much she shook him, the fire of life did not return to his eyes. Still, the girl refused to acknowledge the solemn truth The girl wasn't afraid of hitting rock bottom. Neither was she afraid of death. Only being separated from her love truly terrified her still. And when that fated moment finally descended upon her, even that fear got scared and fled away. Her feelings weren't that of love. The importance of the person in her heart transcended any such emotion at this point. With him gone, she simply could not continue living. Her whole short life existed solely for him. Without him, it had lost its meaning. His death was the end of everything for her, including her own existence. And so the girl refused to continue on living. She fell asleep at his side, never to awaken again. Eternal sleep and death. Weren't the two in the end one and the same? There was no one left to give an answer.
And that was the bad ending.
What the fuck was that?
That's literally the end.
Oh, I was wondering if this would lead to the bad ending.
Give her a cold shoulder.
That's it?
I could have consoled her.
The grimace.
Could have gently uttered that I found a raison d'etre for her. That was not the way. That's the one thing I should never do. You don't know what to do?
Yeah.
Sorami. Putting all my mental effort into coming up with a phrasing that would hurt her at least, I continued. This is something I can help you with. Sorami, you need to discover who you are on your own. Raison d'etre provided by another was no raison d'etre at all. Others might provide guidance, but it was always you that had to grasp it in the end, by your own hands.
But I'm still only...
I'm not that much older than you.
Huh?
I'm just like you. I was born not from a mother, but from a test tube. I sealed my heart. By the time I told her the truth of my compressed life. We've seen this before. It's basically my word. It's with atheists. I was created to be the new god. At the age of 1, I was supposed to talk to the people, instead I ran away.
He's a 1-year-old. You're fighting with an infant.
Now it's supposed to be my mother in a way, as one of the scientists helped create me.
He's a
Please tell
toddler now.
Please tell me that line is
No,
actually
you fell in
something
love
that
with a
gets said in that.
16-year-old girl. This is not appropriate.
She's also like 1 year old. She's less than 1 year old.
FBI, open up.
Wake up, Kugutsu Sorami. You have chosen your name. You're living your life. It's the one and only truth, regardless of what anyone said. You're currently in peril that isn't of your design. You have the right to seek help that I shall provide. But you has to find your raison d'etre. No one else. Please live, Sorami. I don't know how to put it, but, well, tears don't suit you. Sorami fell silent, lowered her head, shook a few times, and then raised again to face me, a few tears still twinkling on her eyelashes.
Okay. I'll look for it myself. I'll figure something out. It makes sense. Nothing good can come out of a reason to live that someone else forces on you. Can it?
Yeah. Sorami wiped her tears off with her sleeve and gave me a reassuring smile. The air of resignation no longer seemed to taint that.
I'm glad I got the chance to talk with you.
Coming for you. I swear I'll save you, no matter what happens. She gave me a smile through her tears.
I'm sorry. I had so much I wanted to tell you, but it just doesn't come out. I don't remember anything anymore.
It's alright. Take your time. I'll be there to save you soon. Anyway.
Setsuna.
Sorami placed her hand on her chest, giving me a beaming smile.
I'll be waiting.
seen this before.
Time skip, time skip, time skip. Da, 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 da.
Crap, who's
I'm gonna
this?
miss this when we're done.
That's me.
Oh, you're right.
Meeting Setsuna just for a brief moment allowed me to return to my usual carefree self. I astonished even myself with how easy I could be sometimes. Still, seeing him reduced to my uneasiness significantly, though I still couldn't quite... Wait. Okay. Still, seeing him reduced my uneasiness significantly, though I still couldn't quite shake off my feeling of inadequacy. I just existed. The fact that I never really lived still weighed heavy on my heart. Still, Setsuna told me to think for myself. That I had to come up with an answer of my own. He also confessed his past to me. The memories that doubtlessly brought him nothing but pain. I haven't lived for a single year. That was the truth. So looking for my raison d'etre in the past would likely prove futile. If there was one thing I realized through all this time of pondering, it was that I wanted to be together with him, with Tendo Setsuna. I couldn't contain the creepy giggle from escaping my lips. Still, the embarrassing display made me feel better at the same time. It seemed that I had at least had the right to live. Oddly enough, the fact that I was looking for a reason to live right now made me completely forget my recent wish to die. I would live. I now had to figure out a means to do that. I thought such an approach suited me a lot better than silently sulking in the corner. I mean, the amount of futures is infinite, right? I aimed the remark at myself, but a particular angel decided to follow up on it instead.
That is not true.
Sorami?
Messenger regarded me with a blood-freezing smirk on her lips. Unable to utter a sound, I unconsciously took a step back.
Your conversation with Tendo Setsuna seems to have provided you with a reason to live, for better or worse.
I haven't found it yet, though.
Well, it's not like you need to look for it yourself.
I blinked once and she was no longer there.
We already found a reason for you to live, a long time ago.
A whisper came from the very tip of my ear. I turned around to see her tracing her hand against my hair with a smile on her face. Overcome with revulsion and fear, I couldn't move an inch. All I could do was watch her face in quiet horror.
You shall define one future, and unify all threads to it alone. Your role is to make sure another multiverse will not come into being.
No, I never wished for anything like that.
Didn't you want to make Tendo Setsuna happy?
Huh? Well, of course I do.
He confessed his past to you, but there was one thing he still hid. Did you know that he doesn't have long in this world?
Huh?
Tendo Setsuna.
The world in front of my eyes turned black with Messenger's words. No.
Such is his fate.
No. I wouldn't allow it. I couldn't allow it. Setsuna couldn't give in to a fate like that.
You want to save him, don't you?
I want to. I really want to, but...
So let's decide on a future then. There has to be at least one that you'll find to your liking. We'll cherry pick that one and crush all of the others.
But that would be...
Otherwise, he will definitely perish.
perish. I survive, but not Setsuna? No, I didn't want that. I refused to acknowledge that. I mean, Setsuna has to have a right to be happy.
Even though he let 10 billion men die?
That was untrue. It wasn't his fault. Who forced all that responsibility on him in the first place? Those 10 billion people themselves.
But he let himself believe it. But he himself believes it to be his fault. That is why he deliberately avoids happiness. Naturally, he is hell-bent on paying the toll for his crimes.
But that...
No futures offer him salvation.
Huh.
But what about the future that had been severed from the past? With no past, he would have no need to pay for his sins. You should take him with you, as the Adam of the new world.
I felt lightheaded. I couldn't tell if her words rang true or if they sought to trick me to commit a terrible mistake.
It's time you went to sleep. When you open your eyes again, all will have started, and everything will be past the end.
Future. A single future that you could not bend. A future where all you could do was walk straight forward. But it was also the only future that blessed him with life. If all that had waited for me was pain, I could have found a way to deal with despair. Maybe I would have chosen death, or endured it gritting my teeth. Yet Messenger offered me a peaceful future full of bliss instead. A world where even Tendo Setsuna could find happiness for himself. I ended up wishing for such a future.
Lulu, skip to Maloo, Lulu, skip to Maloo. Hello, my darling.
La 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 la. So dissonant for the tone of his voice.
What is that beautiful music?
I've been singing Oh Death for the past week and that's running through my head.
I mean, I'm humming that and I keep thinking of that humping stormtrooper.
Sorami! Oppa Gangnam Style.
She didn't answer. She gave me a questioning look of such candor that seemed to forbid the idea of talking back or trying to deceive.
Miss Messenger told me everything.
Huh? Miss Messenger?
Setsuna, is it true that you're going to die soon?
Blood froze. I could probably tell the answer from the petrified look on my face quite easily. I tried coming up with a clever lie now, she'd likely see right through it. Her face twisted in sorrow. Sorami cried out to me in a tearful voice.
No! No! You can't die! I don't need a future where you die! It can go to hell!
Don't say that, Sorami. I clenched my fists. I could feel my arms tremble, but at this point, I lacked the power to make them stop. I'm afraid of death, especially when it's this close. But there's simply nothing we can do about it.
But
I managed to do something meaningful in my life. I saved you. The future contained infinite possibilities, not even viewed from a general scale. I myself feel a little time left, to do nothing to change the fact. Nonetheless, I managed to choose a future of my own, designed at least. I saved Sorami and freed the world. And so, I was no longer afraid of whatever awaited me. Even if I were to die tomorrow, I'd be able to declare I did everything in my power to live a fulfilling life.
you don't want to live anymore?
I do want to live. I cannot escape my past. That's the one thing I couldn't do. I didn't want anyone to die, my roots, regardless how short my life was. I knew I was being selfish. I knew I was being vain. I love you. I fell in love with you. I don't want to change that past. I couldn't deny the affection that sprouted within my heart. So, unable to reject it, I embraced it with every fiber of my being. All that awaited me beyond that choice was tragedy. And my affection would only hurt her. My feelings for her were the one thing I refused to discard.
Setsuna.
Sorami, come over here. My words caused Sorami to tear up. She nonetheless ran straight towards me with a smile on her face. It could almost appear like she was crying out of relief, rather than sorrow.
Setsuna!
She was closing in on me with frantic steps. A bit of weight proceeded onwards as well.
Setsuna! Goop. Thank God, I can't cry again.
Could you first allow me some time to talk before tying me up? You yourselves would rather see everything to the proper end, wouldn't you?
Proper end? Are you trying to say there's still something?
Exactly. Eve, from the looks of it, I assume you haven't told Adam yet?
Stop.
Eve's countenance twisted into a mask of terror.
Adam, you're...
Stop it. I beg of you, stop.
Messenger continued with a smile.
I won't stop. Did you forget who I was? Adam and Tendu Setsuna. Didn't you two feel an odd sensation of aversion towards each other from the very first time you met?
She suddenly asked us a peculiar question.
Indeed we did.
What of it?
It's the natural aversion to those too similar to yourself. Hatred towards your closest kin, if you will. Well, in the case of the two of you, the word species might be more appropriate. Adam, we copied the framework of Tendu Setsuna for the foundation of your design.
What?
To put it more bluntly, you are an imitation of Tendu Setsuna. Well, at this point, I suppose the label inferior copy would suit you better.
I am a copy of Tendu Setsuna?
Impossible. It had been that long since I found my way to Tokyo Babel. You had to have been working on Adam long before I came. I want to tell him it's ridiculous. The seen expression on Eve's face took my confidence away. Eve, her eyes cold as ice, glared at Messenger.
Only Eve and I knew of it. I bet you're surprised, Raziel.
What? Ridiculous. We had Adam's body long before.
We did away with it. Well, we salvaged the heart, as one can't quite replicate the soul and all that.
Why in the heavens would you need to do such a thing? It makes no sense.
Indeed, to you it might not. For this was all done in the name of revenge. An adorable little scheme of the girl over there.
Revenge?
Yes, a certain may the whole world burn and crumble to ashes type of affair.
Whole world burned to ash?
Yes, and for this little wish she engineered our beloved divine calamity.
Took a couple of seconds for everyone to comprehend what she has just said. Eve remained silent, hanging her head.
Eve engineered the divine calamity?
Mrs. Eve?
Erin turned her eyes to Eve. Slowly she raised her head. Smiling, she looked at us as if we were bugs, a scornful smirk on her lips. Frank.
To put it simply, our play today was a tale of hatred. A tale of hatred nestled in the heart of a woman called Eve.
Take a bite of this fruit and you may learn the truth of the world.
A snake tempted her. Her heart lit up with naive curiosity to know more about the world, to know the truth. She thought knowledge would help her get closer to God, to revere Him better. Yet, the first thing she understood after taking a bite was that she would have been so much happier had she never touched the accursed fruits. Ah, Lord forgive her. She had a fight with Adam, then got banished from that insipid paradise. But once she started journeying the world, she realized that her feelings of regret waned with every step. What was the point of living while being looked down upon like an animal? She wouldn't have been able to bear it. She could devote herself to the Lord, her Father, but she didn't want Him to supervise all of her life. Vanity? Maybe, but without it, there would be no mankind. She didn't regret it. She felt nostalgic about paradise, but she didn't really want to go back and live there again. Unfortunately, she was slightly different from all other men that walked the earth in her wake. She was eternal. Even after Adam had died from old age, she continued living, as young as ever. And after the countless years she spent treading the earth's soil, a single dark emotion eventually took root in her heart. Hatred. She hated it all. She hated everything. She wanted to destroy it, to destroy the whole world. She hated herself for having lost her ability to appreciate beauty. She resented her children for their ability to still find joy in the ephemeral. Eternal life, eternal youth. Some men dreamed about it, seeking it for themselves. Oh, how she wanted to tell the fools how wretched eternal life truly was. After a while, she grew to hate even her own children. A voice kept whispering in her heart that there was something wrong, that the world was wrong, that mankind was wrong, that God was wrong. Men lived their short lives to the fullest, while God, angels, and demons lived their eternal lives in indolence. She couldn't live like her children, whose lives were mere petals in the wind. She couldn't live like the eternal beings that by nature were idle. Then, how was she supposed to live? What was she anyway? The first woman? Then why couldn't she die already? She lived with no real passion. She walked forward, hatred simmering in her heart. She hated, despised everything. She wanted it to all fall apart. She wanted to destroy the world. No, that wasn't enough. Not even close. She wanted for everything, heaven, hell, purgatory, earth, to burn to ashes. For the first 100 years, she wrestled with the idea in her mind. For the next 100 years, she considered how she could implement it. She didn't age, she was immortal, but at the same time, she was utterly powerless. She didn't stand a chance against angels or demons in a battle, and so she spent a tremendous amount of time in thought. This was how she, in essence, spent her eternal life, past the point of being cast away from paradise. One day, she chanced upon a book, the Sefer Raziel, the cradle of knowledge that Adam himself had once read. As far as she knew, its author, Archangel Raziel, was currently searching for this very volume. Eve, with some help from Astaroth, eventually managed to break Raziel's code. She thought the book might contain a hint as to a weakness of the divine. And she was right. She found everything in the book. The torment of eternity, and that neither angels nor demons had yet realized what it truly meant. Her objective was to make them comprehend eternity, and she knew how. The forbidden fruit of the tree of life. If a human ate it, he would gain immortality. Yet, for angels that were immortal to begin with, the cursed fruit would only make them realize, reevaluate, the true meaning of their eternal existence. Angels were free from the torment of eternity primarily because their concept of eternal life was different from that of mortals. Men by nature could not endure eternity and eternal continuation. There was no bigger curse for a mortal than to live forever. What about angels? Could they endure eternity, or couldn't they? It wouldn't hurt to at least try and see. Finally, Eve gave in to the devil's temptation. After all, she had nothing to lose. To make them comprehend eternity. The idea charmed her, for it was a fitting revenge, and to make them have a taste of their own medicine. The effect exceeded her wildest expectations. All angels were driven to insanity. Ah, she understood. Her own death no longer mattered to Eve. All she cared about was her scheme, and how she could most effectively lay waste to the world. This was all a play of hatred, an aria of revenge sung by a girl forsaken by the world.
I thought I could do it, and it went so well. I mean, not even the wordsmith could hold out against the power that accursed concept.
It was you?
Yes, it was me that defiled and destroyed God. It was also me that drove other angels mad, using God as a proxy. The only thing I didn't predict was sudden vision of that chorus. In the end, however, it worked to my benefit as well. Heaven was sealed, and the few surviving angels despaired. Hell was flooded, while the worlds of the multiverse soon began to wither.
Eve, a faint smile on her face, continued.
The angels song only made things more interesting, as well as helped my plan advance more smoothly in a way.
To my horror, she didn't seem any different from usual. She continued smiling like always, even that day when we were out together on a picnic. Showing little emotion, she continued her confession.
I didn't expect Michael to come out and create this Tokyo Babel out of nowhere.
Archangel Michael sacrificed his life to give birth to Tokyo Babel. The most charismatic of angels gone, the confusion grew worse. Everything went so smoothly, most frighteningly so.
And to make matters more ironic, the angels called me back and asked me for help in designing a new Adam to save the world this time.
She knew Adam better than anyone else. The angels hoped to use that expertise to better their creation.
It was like a bad joke. I didn't know a single thing about Adam.
Adam never cared about anyone other than God. He treated Eve, his former rib, like a doll made of flesh at best.
Not to mention I couldn't stand the idea of designing someone that supposedly fits that insipid God.
She decided to make a doll that would instead help her in her schemes. The angels made it a heart, chose the body and fused it with power. Eve's role consisted of but the final adjustments and the finishing touch. At the same time, though, it meant they ended up handing her the nearly finished product without suspecting her true intentions. So she added something special to the design.
Adam, you're but my slave, my puppet, and nothing else.
Adam, with no hint of anger or sorrow on his countenance, considered Eve in silence. Paying no heed to him whatsoever, she continued.
For example, what do you think would happen if I said this? Adam, could you please kneel before me now?
Adam fell to his knees with a groan. Eve smiled to herself and closing in on Adam, cupped his chin in her hand.
How does it feel not being able to control your own body, Adam?
Adam remained silent, displaying on a hint of humiliation, and continued to stare at Eve. Eve let go of Adam's chin, irritated.
Eve, what is it that you want?
What I want? Nothing much. Something that is as simple as it is obvious.
He was fed up with them. Both those foolish men who embarked on pilgrimages went to return mad with the angels and demons that remained faithful to God despite his absence. He was fed up with the foolish angels singing odes of bliss, as well as the very God that succumbed to madness.
I've had enough of everything, of this whole world.
Neither the beauty and majestic sceneries of nature, nor its adorable little critters could move her hearts any longer. She hoped for snow to pile forever, covering the entire surface of the world under ice. She hoped for waters to rage and for oceans to swallow the vain earth. She hoped for angels and demons and humans, for everyone to disappear.
I want this world to fall apart. As the first woman of this world, I believe it's a wish I have every right to.
She smiled at me.
But with Lord Tendu here, it doesn't seem like I can do anything to stop you from saving this wretched world again.
She let a deep sigh, so she had already given up on our plan.
Adam, listen well, for this is an order. Stand up and kill me right away.
Adam slowly rose to his feet, but as Raziel and I tried to rush to his side and stop him, a messenger appeared on her way.
Messenger, what are you?
This should end it all. Please be patient and wait.
Putting her lightning rod at us, indicating that she wouldn't let us pass without a fight. If I chose to fight Messenger now by the time I defeated her, the situation behind her back would no doubt be over. No choice but to grit her teeth and observe. Adam closed in on Eve, one step at a time, as if having calculated the distance of his every step with utmost precision. He marched forward at a perfectly even pace, this gait completely without anxiety. Eve, with a satisfied smile on her face, seemed to be eagerly waiting for his arms to reach out for her neck. Adam's weapon still with Tendo sets. Frank.
Adam's weapon was still with Tendo Setsuna, and since the only order he received was to kill, it was likely he would choose either to strangle or to outright break her neck. It would probably hurt quite a lot, which was one concept Eve still found positively unpleasant. She still wanted to destroy the world. Her death would still be one colored with regret. But it would finally end. She didn't truly want it to end, but it would. She didn't truly want to die, but she would.
Go ahead, Adam.
Adam stopped in front of Eve. She steeled her heart and closed her eyes. If she died in the present state of the universe, her soul would probably dissipate into nothingness like mist. She would disappear without any means to come back. She suddenly realized she was shaking. But why? Was she still afraid to die? After all this time, even after everything she did, she was still afraid of death.
I'm pathetic, aren't I?
No one in this world can claim not to be afraid of their own death.
Huh?
She couldn't help but open her eyes again. Adam stood in front of Eve, absent-mindedly, his arms resting calmly at his sides instead of going for her neck.
Adam.
Puzzlement overcame her.
What?
Carry out what I had ordered.
I refuse.
He firmly rejected her order.
Why?
Adam let out a deep sigh of exasperation.
What kind of question is that? Because I don't want to.
This isn't an issue of wanting.
I might not feel it right now, but I shall kneel and lick your shoes if that is your desire. Hurting you, however, is the one thing I can never do.
What?
Eve stared at Adam, having been left completely speechless.
That's what being married means.
No! You're wrong! Wrong!
How am I wrong?
We aren't like that at all. You're another husband and wife. Where do we ever love each other? We merely used each other. Don't you understand?
What was he talking about? She made him so he would obey her like a slave. She had been manipulating him like a puppet from the very start. Yet Adam remained perfectly composed.
You might have not thought of us as husband and wife, but I, at the very least, certainly did.
Stop! Stop it already! Please! I beg of you, kill me! Just kill me already, Adam!
I refuse.
I don't love you!
I love you.
Stop lying to me! Say you don't love me!
I don't know how to lie.
Tears welled up in Eve's eyes, and as if having been returned thousands of years back to her youth, she began sobbing like a little child.
Please, stop it! Stop it already! I manipulated you. I tricked you. That's the only truth, and you don't need to forgive me for it.
I cannot forgive you, for I never condemned you in the first place.
Huh?
I am your husband. I might have been far from a perfect companion, but I still was made for this very role. Even if you committed a sin grave enough to invoke the entire world's wrath, I would still not condemn you. Such is the responsibility of the second half. My one and only wish is to protect and keep you safe.
he never truly felt alive. He knew his mission from the moment he was born, and acknowledging it, he promptly proceeded to move forward. Did he ever truly live? Thinking the question irrelevant, he had sealed it in the deepest layer of his heart. What was he living for? What was the reason he kept living on? His devotion to God? Or to someone he had never met? Indeed, telling himself that he lived for God, Adam made it his raison d'etre. A big, fat liar. The biggest in the entire world. He tricked himself, tricked others, even the girl he loved. He never really cared about God, nor the angels. He never even cared about his children much. All he wished was for to protect the girl that had been his other half. There was no complex reason for it. He didn't feel he had to do it. It was instinct. It was the first and only desire that had ever visited his heart. The question of forgiveness mattered little to him. So what if she betrayed him? All was right as long as he wasn't the one doing the betraying. She could have used and manipulated him till the end of his days, and he still would not have minded. Hence, he couldn't understand the reason behind Eve's tears. He only ever wished for her to smile.